Hi everyone, welcome back to this series on Agile, where we're looking at the 7 Scrum ceremonies that you will come across when you're working in or around a Scrum team. Really wonderful to know. Let's have a look at what we've got. Ceremonies is the term for meetings and events when working in a Scrum team. So, it's a fancy way to say it, and it's actually kind of nice. But let's look at the 7 Scrum ceremonies and how to use them. So this is what we really want here and how we're actually going to work with these with our Scrum team. Number 1, the backlog refinement meeting. So the product owner. So we've got our product owner, we've got our Scrum Master and the development team. We all work together to discuss and prioritize those backlog items. And so which one do we want first? Which one do we want last? What's important? And we want to work on the most important ones first. That's our backlog refinement meeting. We've got our sprint planning meeting, which takes it to another level. So the team determines how much work they can take on from that prioritized backlog for the next sprint, which is their 2-week iteration of work. So how much can we put into this time-boxed period? This is also based on estimates for the items. So once we've broken those items down, how long is it going to take to complete? Well, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and also based on the velocity of the team. So how much can the whole team complete in that 2-week iteration? So can they complete 6 days worth of work in this example? Then yes, we can add all of these cards to our sprint backlog, and that's our sprint planning meeting. Now we've got the daily scrum. This is a 15-minute daily meeting, sometimes called a stand-up meeting because everyone stands around the Kanban board, virtually or physically, and this is where we move work across the Kanban board. So the development team and the Scrum Master each take turns answering these questions. What did I accomplish yesterday or since the last Scrum? What will I do today? So what am I working on now? And is there anything blocking me? Are there any blockers in my way? Because we really need to know the Scrum Master needs to help remove those blockers. So that's our daily Scrum. Now, of course, then we've got the Scrum of Scrums. So in larger projects, if there are multiple teams working within the same program of work, then we have a representative from, say, we've got the different teams here. Then one of these representatives will go into the Scrum of Scrums. And then, so then they'll report to that Scrum of Scrums. And so we want to work in the same way. We want to answer those 3 questions. What did our whole team work on yesterday? What are they working on today? Except maybe it's a bit less frequent as well. So we might only have that 2 to 3 times a week for the Scrum of Scrums. But the idea is that that we're trying to associate our projects so that we're not getting in each other's way. And that's the last question there. Will our team be putting something in another team's way? So now all our projects are working across the streams and they're working together. So this is a great way to do it, is the Scrum of Scrums, where we've got a representative and now they're all working together. Now, of course, lastly, for that section, we've got the Scrum of Scrums, where maybe we've got a huge program of work. So if we're looking at traditional project management, you've got BAU or operations, you've got projects, and then you've got programs. So maybe we've got a program of work and we've got multiple projects that we want to work on. So this is where we take that Scrum of Scrums even further and we take a representative from each of the Scrum of Scrums and they go to the Scrum of Scrums. And the idea, this is usually because we're moving up the chain here, it's usually done at the executive level. So usually we're reporting now to 2 executives because they haven't got time to be on each daily Scrum for every single project across the organization. If it gets to this level, then we're really doing an update at that executive level for our high-level leaders most often. So that's the Scrum of Scrums. Now, second to last, the sprint review, also known, this is where we're reviewing the work that we've completed. So at the end of each sprint, the development team demonstrates that work that they've accomplished for the product owner, the Scrum Master, and other key stakeholders. So it's a demo and a review. Really great to see, feel, and touch the product and how it's going. This is an opportunity to see, feel, and touch the feature and garner any feedback necessary before signing it off as done when the customer is happy. Lastly, the sprint retrospective. So after the sprint review and before the next sprint planning meeting, the development team meets to do a sprint retrospective and improve our own way of work. So we ask ourselves what went well, How can we do more of that? What needs improvement? How can we work on that or improve that? What did we learn and what still puzzles us? Do we have any questions that are outstanding? This feedback goes into the process to improve for future iterations. So these Scrum ceremonies form the core way of work when on a Scrum team, and they're repeated with each iteration, each 2-week sprint usually, or until project completion. And those are your 7 Scrum ceremonies when working in a Scrum team.